Well, hello everybody. Today I decided I wanted to talk about some of the planner items planner stuff, planner things, they're not all physical, that I can't live without right now. And I thought that this was a good time to update this video purely because now I've incorporated work back into my personal planner, so it's my whole life planner now. And B, I've got a lot of questions about being chronically ill, and I will be doing some videos on that with planning coming soon. But the reason I wanted to make this particular video is because you don't need all the things. You just need the things that really work, and the other things are a bonus. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, are the 5 things that are basically necessary to my planning, and even one of them I don't necessarily need. One of them is like the honorable mention. So 4 things plus an honorable mention. I want to just demonstrate to you that you don't need all the things. You just need the few things that work. Everything else is gravy. All right, so let's get started by first looking at this puppy. This is my Moxie Life Planner. Now, this one is the vertical. I'm usually a vertical person. I don't anticipate going back to horizontal anytime soon. I have spent some time in a horizontal and I like it okay, but vertical is working for my life right now. And this is the cover I did with them in 2023. I'm excited to see their new covers for 2024. I'm not working with them again this year. They pick a different artist every year. But, you know, aside from the fact that I just love looking at it because I did this cover, this planner has been an absolute game changer for me. And there's a couple reasons why. For one, it's a really nice planner. I don't like the wire O binding, but I'm learning to live with it. But other than that, like, this planner is just, the paper is great. It's neutral enough for me. You know, all of the like aesthetic things really, really work for me. But on top of that, the biggest reason is that it includes goal setting with the weekly planner. So you get the yearly goal setting, you get quarterly check-ins, you get monthly check-ins, and you get weekly check-ins through the whole planner, which makes it a chonky boy. Like, I'm in August and I don't use stickers every single week and I'm already hitting the chonk with this. We'll see what it looks like at the end of the year. But generally speaking, even though I'm not always great at keeping up with like some of the weekly actions, I do really love having the goals in the same place as my weekly plans because it really holds me accountable to making sure that the actions that I want to do that week get put in my planner. That's one of my planner processes now, is when I'm about to film my plan with me, which actually will have gone up already by the time you see this video. And I did my weekly actions. And then what I'm going to do when I plan my week out is once I get all my appointments and everything else in here, I'm going to go to my weekly actions and I'm going to add them into my planner so that they're on the schedule. That's immeasurable for me. I used to use a different system where it was a different book and I'd have to kind of cross-reference them and remember to open them. And sometimes when I was really motivated, I would be great at that. But when I wasn't motivated, it would go by the wayside. There's still times when that happens here, but it's a lot easier for me to stick to what I am wanting to do by having everything in one place. And now that I've brought work back into it, even though my work goal setting system is different than this, it's the HB90 system, which is not even on my list of things. It should be, but it's not really a thing at all. It's a system, so we'll talk about that when we get to my Notion. But having my work goals already set, but then being able to add those in as well just really helps me get a better snapshot of what my time looks like. And that is the most important thing, because overestimating how much time I have and then overpacking my days and then feeling guilty is one of my toxic planner habits. So my Moxie Life Planner is definitely a superstar of my life right now. I definitely, if all I had was this and a pencil, I would be okay. I do generally keep this on my desk in the basement, although I'm starting to think I should just bring it all over the house with me because I only spend so much time in the basement and then the rest of the day I'm on the dialysis chair. I have a laptop, so I might be working upstairs to get some fresh air. So that may happen, but generally speaking, this puppy is my main man. And then I have two other physical items that we're going to talk about really quick. And the first is my Zig Clean Color dot markers. Now, I have tested a whole bunch of different dot pens at different price points. I have that video. You can go check it out. And if you can't afford the Zig pens or you can't find them, cheaper dot pens They do just fine. I personally prefer these of all of the alternates. For me, you just can't go wrong with the original. I have as many colors as I can find from them. I keep in my bucket right next to my planner the colors that match with my Moxie markers, and like this pink is the one I'm using in this current week. I keep all of that close. I love these because you can get a big dot or a small dot depending on how hard you press. They come with a bunch of colors, so it's really easy to color coordinate. This end tip I do use from time to time, but I mostly just use the dot end. I find these to be the most comfortable to use, but the reason that they are a must-have for me with my planner supplies is how versatile they are. I love color. I love adding color. I love adding coordinated color to my planner. However, I also, A, am lazy, and B, just need time. I'm lazy, and I also, a lot of the times, if I'm in a rush, I'm not going to go and like grab a whole bunch of markers and get all fucking fancy with it. Here, I'm just using one marker, one highlighter, one dot pen. It's great for my check-ins on my habit trackers. It's great for creating to-do lists. You can do dot art with them. I don't really do that, but you can do dot art with them. For me, it's really just a to-do list, a tracker situation, and that seems simple, but god damn it, if it is not everywhere in my planner. I use it on my weekly actions. I use it on my monthly actions, on my yearly actions. I use it all over my weeklies. I use it on just regular to-do lists. I use the shit out of these dot markers, and I will replace them as they run out. They are one of those things that just is... it has become an essential. And the funny thing is that maybe a year or two ago, I was not really sure what the hype was about them. I didn't understand why everybody loves them so much. And now you can pry them from my cold dead hands. I would rather give up my Tombow markers. I would rather give up my mild liners. There are so many markers I would give up. If I was only allowed to have one set of markers, I would go with these clean color dot markers. It's just the way things are. And then the honorable mention is one of the physical products. And this is because if I'm not using stickers or washi tape, then this doesn't really matter. But if I'm using washi tape, it's my Artist Loft palette knife. I have gotten more questions about this thing since I started making YouTube videos than any other product that I use. Because people are like, what the hell is that washi tape cutter? It's not a washi tape cutter. It's a palette knife. These are meant to like mix paint on palettes. And I actually do have different shapes and different sizes of palette knives in my painting supplies. But this palette knife is the perfect size to cut washi tape. It can poke you. If you poke this edge right here, it can cut you. So you've got to be careful. It's not like meant to cut you, but it can. I've done it. But this like flat edge right here is the perfect width for most standard washi tapes. If you're using one of those big fat ones, this guy's not going to work. But for standard size and smaller washi tapes, this edge is perfect. I love it because I have tendonitis. And so using one of those little credit cards to cut or like those little washi tape cutters or whatever, it doesn't feel good for my wrist. But being able to hold this kind of like a pencil, I kind of hold it in this way. This just gives me a better grip, which gives my hand an easier time, and it gives me a little bit more control with what I'm doing. So using this guy, this is like maybe the third one because I've lost them, I've given them away, I've used them for painting, and so once they get all crusty, I don't want to use them in my planner anymore. Even if you clean them, there comes a point where they're like, this one is not this one. You can see here that this one has like gesso and stuff on it. No matter how much I clean it, it looks janky. But this guy is my planner reserved. If you want one of these, they sell them at Michael's for a couple bucks. I think it's maybe $3 or $4. It's an angled palette knife. You can find them all over the place. There's different sizes and shapes. This one is one I actually got from the art supply store. It's a similar angle, but it's a much bigger one, and I use this for painting with acrylics. But this particular angled palette knife from Michael's is one of my most used palettes, like probably one of my most consistently used planner supplies since I started decorative planning. Like older for me than the dot markers and everything else. This guy has been just a major piece of that. So yeah, if you ever wondered what I used to cut my washi tape, it's this guy. Now we're going to jump over to the computer because that's where my other two most used planner situations are. Okay, so this is my Google Calendar, and I cannot live without my Google Calendar. Remember what I said before about a desert island? Even if you took my Moxie life away, at least with my Google Calendar, I would make sure I was at my doctor's appointments on time. I don't do a ton of time blocking. I don't do a ton of anything like that. It's mostly just to hold my appointments, things that are time sensitive when it comes to, and I might put deadlines on here, but generally speaking, I mostly just use this for my schedule, but that's really important for me. It used to be that I would go into my monthly calendar and my planner, and that would be what would hold my schedule. But we discovered a while ago that we need a place that not only do I have access to, but my kids and my husband as well. And nobody wanted to look at my planner. Nobody gave a shit about my planner, but they would. We all share this family Google Calendar. So I'll show you on the side here. I have a handful of different calendars. The one in the blue is my family calendar. So these are things that everybody can see. So on this current week that I'm in, we have me picking up my sister and brother-in-law and their visit, the cleaners, going to the water slides tomorrow, my therapy appointment, all things. This I actually need to copy over to the family calendar. This is where the email, you know how they will just pop in like reservations and shit. That's what this is. But we're going to be going to Texas Day, Brazil as a family on Saturday. So I just copied the reservation so that we all have it. And usually what we'll do is put just an initial. So in the past, if like Sunny has had an appointment, we'll go here. So we got my therapy. Jesse added his doctor's appointment. Delivery right here for my supplies coming in. Our Stanley Hotel tour. You see what I mean? Like we're able to really put all of our appointments for the family. Then we also have, I have a personal calendar, which is basically my natural Google Calendar. I just renamed it. And that just has things that I want to remember, like dialysis, reminding myself to take a lunch, my aspirational AM routine. That's all on here in this like kind of beige color. And if you want my colors that I use, if you like this kind of mellow situation of colors, let me know and I will post the hex codes. If you want to change the title of your calendar, you just go to settings and sharing, you edit the name, and you can share it with whoever. The other thing you can do is go into the colors here and go to the plus, and it's add custom color, and you just put the hex code in and that'll change the color. So I've got my personal calendar. I've got my Patreon calendar, which is actually shared with my patrons, and that has the times for all of our live streams on it. Patreon Live, Hangout, and I also, if I do a live on my YouTube channel, I'll put that on there as well, even though it's not patron only. Then we have Layla, which we haven't been using as much because she's at daycare, but that's our calendar that we use for walking. Let's see if we can find a previous month that we used the shit out of that before daycare. You could see here, we would put just a little puppy dog. And what we would wind up doing was writing the name of whoever person was walking Layla would get that. Then we also have reminders tasks, which are Google specific things. And I'll use those occasionally to put things like payday. Finally, work, which is green. Now on my weekly calendar, I have at the top here potato days and game face days. Those are days where I try to, like potato days tend to be days where I'm dressed like a potato, right? I'm wearing just like schlumpy clothes, no makeup, doing computer work. And on game face days are days when I'm either streaming or filming. And I have those up there to remind me to kind of try and put my tasks on those days. I haven't been good at following through with that lately, but that's how I'm using Google Calendar currently. The most important thing though is the appointments, because I will forget the shit out of everything. And if I have to put a reminder, here's a reminder I just put as an all-day event to change the pack, something for dialysis, right? And that repeats. There's other times when I might put something like, this is a day a bill is due, this is the day, etc. And then I also will do just stretching events for like when my kids are out of town, or when Jess and I are out of town, or when somebody's here in town. So yeah, that's how I use Google Calendar, and it is really important in terms of keeping my life on track. And then finally, we're in Notion. Notion is the other piece of all of this. Notion is where I keep all of my work stuff. My work goal setting, my work task management, my work like keeping an eye on different like commissioned projects, on art projects, on all those things. I actually have to update some things, so I'll show you. So I've gone through this before in my work situation, and that's where I kind of talk more about the HB90 stuff. But as you can see here, there's so much in here, and what I use it for is keeping my work stuff. Like I want to start keeping my personal stuff. That's what this dashboard is, where I've got space for TV. The only thing I've really been using is my TV show situation here with my big list of TV shows to watch. I haven't quite like moved into this personally yet, but I am very much completely moved in. My whole HB90 system is in here for work, as well as I'm still adding more things for the Etsy store side of things. But when I look at this, it tells me what projects I need to work on today and what I'm filming videos today. It tells me what I'm in the middle of. It gives me my task calendar, and I can look at this. This is a monthly view, but I can look at it for a weekly view. I can look at it for which videos I'm working on currently, if there's any tasks that are overdue. You know, I have different ways of looking at things. But if I go to the art studio, this is a list of like client projects I'm on, tasks I'm working on. And these are all in production right now, but we're at the point where they've all been, well, I still have to test the 8.5 by 11s on these, but this is my current series of fuckery flowers. So when I'm in here, it helps me keep track of everything I'm doing for work. And then what I do is I just pull from those days' tasks or those weeks' tasks to plan out my time in my personal planner. But having Notion in order to be able to do all of the things, like here's my content in progress. I can look at it from the month. I can look at it from a full like calendar view. I can look at it for what's coming up. Yeah. So my Notion is by far amazing for everything. And it took a while to get it to this point, but now that it's at this point, it makes my life so much easier. So those were all of my favorite current Desert Island. I guess I would need a computer too. Desert Island, can't live without planner supplies. 4 very important things: my dot pens, my planner, my Notion, my Google Calendar, plus my honorable mention of my palette knife. I have other things I love, but these are the things that keep my life going on a regular basis. I would love to hear from you in the comments below what some of your must-haves. If you had to go to a desert island, you know, let's just assume a desert island with a computer and Wi-Fi. If you had to go to a desert island, what 5 supplies, digital, physical, or otherwise, would you take with you in order? Like if you could only pick a few things, what would they be? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, my friends, peace.